Stop trying to change. We all have dysfunctions, all of us. When you don't have an anchor, whatever anchor it is, you're not free, you're lost. Not everything is tangible. And in fact, so much more than we think is not tangible. Engagement has never been as important as today.
I'm not surprised that people engagement has gone down at all. How do I be nicer to myself?
Emotions are the headquarters of anything we decide. Not that they rule, but they are present in any of our decisions. We are feeling beings who sometimes think. For you, as a person, we have 4 deep psychological needs. So as a brand or as an entrepreneur, even choose one emotion. How would you like really your clients to feel?
It's this. What do I want them to feel? Joe Sejean is founder of The Compass, co-founder of The Bravos, and host of the People Not Numbers podcast. As the creator of the Emotional Intentions Framework, he focuses on helping founders and their teams create business leverage by connecting emotionally with their clients.
Suddenly, it's emotions first, task second. Transformation is an outcome. Out of alignment is the essence of an adventure. Increasingly, the outcome is not going to become the distinctive factor of what makes or breaks a company. When you have that type of intentionality and you couple it with emotions, so now you want people to feel something.
Did you know that 44% of podcasts stop after episode 3? So that means all that time, energy, and money is just wasted and you never get to truly see the benefits of podcasting. So if you want your show to stay alive and healthy, you can book a call in the link below and let's get started today. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hope It Helps. And guys, today I have a very, very special guest on the show, a dear, dear friend who's been on the show before, and this is his second time round. Please welcome to the show my good friend, Mr. Joe Sejean. Joe, welcome back to the show, man.
Khaled, thank you so much for welcoming me, and I'm impressed with the studio.
Thank you, Habibi. Thank you. So in preparation for this, I know we had a call a few weeks ago, and there was a lot of things we were talking about that really resonated with me when it came to emotional intentions and building teams in the workplace and performance and the importance of engagement. And we were having a discussion. So I had a HR expert on the podcast recently, and it was all about people. Until this day, with all the information out there, all the books, the studies, whatever, for some fucking reason, companies still think that people are the ones that we don't have to care about as much, which is, in my opinion, absolutely fucking ridiculous. So what I wanted to do today, Joe, is first of all, touch on the work you do, because I think the work you do and with the way things are moving to becoming more automated is more important than ever, because we're in a phase now, people think, yeah, automate. Yeah, fine, automate. But then in a couple of years, you're going to be so automated, you're going to forget how to act and be a person and run a company and interact with people. So the timing of what you do is so important, man. And just, this was not planned, by the way, this statistic. So first of all, this is my 150th episode. It was not planned. I was just looking at the numbers yesterday and I'm like, what better guest to have on the show again than Joe? We had, I think our first podcast was episode 60, and I looked at the time, that was 4 years ago, man.
Wow.
That was 4 years ago. But anyway, for the people who don't know Joe, just give us a little bit of background about yourself and what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you. My name is Joe Sejean. I'm Lebanese, so you could say Joe Sejean.
Fair.
And you could say Joe Sejean if you want to speak in English. So I was born in Paris. I'm a Lebanese citizen. Both my parents are Lebanese, and I grew up in France. I've been in Dubai for 18 years now. And my job is, as the founder of The Compass, is to help founders create business leverage by connecting emotionally with their clients. So in a nutshell, why founders, or what I call all-in founders, so people who work in corporations and have this mindset of giving it all, because founders care. They know the importance of clients. They know the importance of connecting with people. They haven't built just the product. They knew from the beginning how to sell. This is why they built a company. Their problems are, I'm growing. My people don't care as much as I care. I don't know what to do with that growth, and people connect with their customers transactionally. They try to sell products. I'm trying to sell a philosophy. I'm trying to sell something much bigger than this. And they don't manage to transmit that. And they understand, founders, not all of them, but most of them understand the importance of emotional connection. But they don't know how to implement it in a company. They talk about it, but they don't know how to make it work. And so when they do, with the help of the emotional intentions methodology, the figures climb. In 9 months, it's a systematic double-digit increase in revenue.
Wow.
And sometimes in impressive ways. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And you touched on the emotional intentions, which we're going to dive into a sec. But before that, so last time you were on the show, our episode was about people engagement, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm curious now, that was 4 years ago we had that discussion. What has changed in your perspective when it comes to people engagement? Because this emotional intentions part, I don't think we touched on that in that conversation. No. So I think there was a shift. When did you realize that there's this underlying shift that needs to come into this people engagement equation?
It's a super good question. And emotional intentions is something that I created back when I was in Chalhoub 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was already existing.
Okay.
What has changed is that I didn't understand how to talk about it and how to highlight it. It was not yet something that was as robust as today in terms of methodology. Now, was there a shift in terms of people engagement, emotional intentions has always been at the core of everything I do. Even when I got certified as a coach 22 years ago. Why? Because emotions are the headquarters of anything we decide. Not that they rule, but they are present in any of our decisions. So there is a Harvard study that says that 95% of our decisions are driven by our unconscious mind.
Wow, 95%?
95%.
Wow.
This is unfortunately clear.
Yeah,
so we are not,
true.
We think of ourselves as thinking beings.
Logical, yeah.
Who sometimes are irrational or sometimes have feelings. No, we are feeling beings who sometimes think. We're driven by something that is not our thoughts and our rational process. So that's the first thing. This is why emotions, when you touch emotions, you are sure that you are in any of the decisions that people make. It's not always the biggest influencer, but it's always there. Sometimes in a decision, the price is not there. Sometimes in the decision, the economical context is not there because you need to decide if you're going to go to have dinner at your parents-in-law. Okay? So there are tons of factors that come. For sure, there is one that is always there, is the emotions. So that's the first. And then there is the intentionality. And there is a lot of verbiage about, manifest what you want. And, if you have the intention, if you want it, you will get it. If you really want it and stuff. But there is science behind it. And there is a researcher called Masaru Emoto, who's a Japanese scientist still alive today, who did some work on water and the effect on my intentions on the material of water. So
okay.
Can I tell you about this?
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
That sounds very interesting. Yeah,
okay,
please.
Cool. So now we saw that emotions are important, but what about intentions? If I want something to happen, right? So this guy, Masaru Emoto, put 2 glasses of water in front of him. He was already a researcher on water, but he tried something different 20 years ago. He had positive thoughts about this glass of water. Only positive thoughts. I love you. You're great. I think you're capable of great things. Only gratitude and love. And a glass of water a few centimeters away, only awful intentions. You're awful. You're horrible. I hate you. You will never do anything with your life. Only bad stuff thrown to the water. Then he froze both samples, so 50 samples per glass, so 100 samples, to minus 23 degrees in a very slow way, 3 hours, and saw on the microscope the evolution of crystals.
Okay.
You know that below zero, when you go down to minus 10, water starts to form crystals. 100% of the water of this glass, the love glass, formed crystals, beautiful symmetrical crystals. 100% of this glass of water didn't form a single crystal. So the consolidation of the material, water, could not happened because the vibration sent.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So go on YouTube.
Yeah, I need to check this out.
Masaru, Masaru, Emoto, Emoto. You will see immediately a few videos that show the experiment. And then he has written books. I mean, the guy is a
scientist.
He's an authority.
Mm-mm.
Science doesn't mean it's true. Science means it's true until proven the contrary. But what he discovered changed a lot of things. Because what are you composed of?
Water.
90+% of what you are is what we call structured water. I learned this with a guest on my podcast.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
His name is Fred Roskop. He was awarded Innovation whatever of last year in 2024 because of his discovery on structured water and all the consequences, the products and all the care that he could give to this. So structured water is H3O2. It's a molecule. So if this glass of water receives a vibration, everything we're composed of receives the vibrations of the outside. What's the smallest thing that we know apart from the quark in our body is the atom. An atom is energy. So you receive, an atom composes the molecule of H3O2. You receive vibrations that you memorize. You know trauma, how we treat trauma, how people sometimes there is a bomb that falls somewhere, you keep the vibration of this, and then 50 years ago, 20 years after, 5 years after, there is a noise of a door that bangs and reminds you of the sound of this is the same vibration, and the memory of this vibration will take you somewhere. So when you have that type of intentionality and you couple it with emotions, so now you want people to feel something. Yeah? I say, okay, I want Khalid to feel comfortable. And this is really my intention. Naturally, your behavior, without any script, will take you to try. I'm not saying it's going to work. But if I have that intention to make you feel comfortable, everything in me will go in that direction. And if you feel that, if you have that emotion of feeling comfortable and you receive that intention, what do I touch in you? Something linked to any of the decisions you're going to make. Stay with me as an employee or a team member, buy from me as a client, renew a partnership contract, go for dinner at my place, invite me for dinner, present me someone, whatever it is. So we touch decisions when we are intentional about the emotions we want people to feel. And that, to me, was the transformation 10 years ago when I was in Chalhoub. And some brands with whom I worked at the time did a remarkable increase of 30% both in 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of this adventure for me.
Okay.
And since then, I've been applying it with clients in all types of sector. Luxury, big brand, small brand, people who are...
You've worked with some massive people, man, mashallah. Yeah.
Massive and very small.
Yeah.
I was doing this a few days ago with a solopreneur.
Mm.
He told me I'm changing everything. My website is changing because if I have defined 3 emotions that I want anybody to feel, anybody, well, then I reread the way I've done my website, and maybe I want to change the colors, and I want to change the verbatim, and I want to change all the buttons, and I want to change my communication on LinkedIn, on Instagram, because suddenly it's emotions first, tasks second. So this is what emotional intentions are about. Now, it's a long answer to come back to people engagement, but engagement has never been as important as today. And in fact, figures show now, this updated last month, I was discussing it with my business partner, are worsening. So for the first time again, not only it's not improving because it was stagnating, it's again worsening. It's going down. People are not interested in just being treated as a task maker. Yeah, so when people engage with you transactionally, you are an accomplisher of a task. It's just a glorified robot or glorified machine stuff. And with AI, everything is linked now to and narrowed down to the outcome. I mean, we're not the most brilliant people on earth, you and me. We're really good at what we do. Okay?
Yes,
we love what we do, and we're brilliant at some things. are we the best to write a book or to build a pair of glasses?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
With AI today, if you do it well and you spend the hours on it, you can design a pair of glasses that is going to be at least correct, suitable. You could write a book on a topic that you don't know, and it could work. So increasingly, the outcome is not going to become the distinctive factor of what makes or breaks a company, because every company will be virtually capable to get the outcome that they want in an easier and easier way along the years. And none of us know how it's going to pan out. What's going to be the difference? All the emotions that you're going to put in the process of making your deliverable. How do you work with your team? How do you engage them? Are they happy to come? And I'm not talking about I'm happy to play football, or I'm happy because the fridge is always full of junk food and I can eat. And no. I'm talking about people finding meaning at what they're doing. So all this emotional load that you're going to put in the energy of people to create, to innovate, to take risks, to try stuff, to build a deliverable of high quality, all this energy sometimes that you need from people, the extra mile that you need from them, it's not going to happen if people don't feel anything positive about you. It's going to happen because people have an emotional connection with you and say, this Khaled, I'm going to do it, without you asking. No, don't worry, I'll cover it. And in the emotions that you put in the deliverable itself. How do you deliver this outcome? What marketing are you going to do for it? What's the way you're going to convey the message? So engagement is the key more than anything. And keeping your people, making sure that they're happy, somehow that they're free to go, to stay, that you can support them. All this emotional aspect is now super highlighted, and I can sense it with the clients.
Yeah. So much to unpack there. So many different points. So I want to start here. First of all, the emotion part that you talked about is something that only I'd say even myself this year I became aware of in the terms of, and it came from a communication aspect. How do you communicate on the podcast, on LinkedIn, on your website, as you put, like all of that is important, and I never looked at it like that. It's always just like, it's just how I speak with someone. It's a much bigger process, and the way you describe, like, it's involved at every stage, of like delivering something to the client or a deliverable or an outcome. And like you said, we are moving. I'm not surprised that people engagement has gone down at all.
You're not?
No, not at all, because it makes sense. Given the way things are moving, it makes perfect sense, because like you said, we've always been outcome driven, but now getting that outcome is becoming a lot easier. So this lever, if you want to call it as you'd put it, is getting turned down significantly. And in a couple of years, it'll have been turned down so much that this is gonna massively rocket and explode. That is, I think, is just the wave of how things are going. Now, when I've spoken to people on the podcast who talked about emotions, and emotions kind of come down to one of two things: pain or pleasure. It literally, and like you said, every decision we make is much more emotional than it is logical. Because even when logic comes in, if my emotion is high enough, I'll still make that decision. But it's when the script is flipped and like it's low emotion but high logic, maybe I won't take that decision because the feeling is so significant. Now, you talked about intention, because I want to kind of break this up. So that experiment is mind-blowing to me. I've heard of something similar when they did something for a plant and like how it grew, and one grew shit and one grew well,
Okay, just on this, the plant thing. I was working last year with a consulting firm, okay? And the managing partner told me, I've tried. I've got a row of tomatoes in both sides of a corridor in my house. I spoke highly every time I had positive thoughts about this row of tomato on the same corridor. And I always looked at this one with a look of despise and negative thought, negative vibes. Yeah, same treatment, water, whatever it is. This row died down.
Wow.
Died down. And this one gave tomatoes. So
wow.
I've got someone who
like,
tried it.
You've interacted with someone who's actually done it. Yeah.
And it's well known that plants feel us. They have reactions to who's in the room. Yeah. They've done experiments a long time ago with people who came and drugged the plants and people who came and cared for the plants. And they measured the speed of circulation in the plant and the reactions. And it was just incredible. When, in the end, when the man was approaching the room, the plant could feel it and start to protect. You know how trees act? They start
bloom.
to
They shrink.
They start
to
protect. For
constrict.
example, if you look outside now with the extreme heat in Dubai, the leaves outside start to go like this and pump less energy, and all the energy is coming back to the main part, the core. And when temperatures go cooler, the leaves reappear and pump energy if the tree can give it.
Sure.
So sorry, I interrupted
No,
you on this
not
thing,
at all.
but it was just to say that
It's
the
perfect
plant
timing.
thing is really something strong. I mean, it's not woo-ha.
Yeah.
And you will see the experiment. And also to tell you, I've shown that to some clients who still didn't believe it. They're like, no. So there is also something that in our world is difficult to talk about. Difficult, I don't know, but that is sometimes difficult to acknowledge or receive for some people, is not everything is tangible. And in fact, so much more than we think is not tangible.
That's such a great point, Joe. That's such a great point. So I had someone on the podcast. He's a marketing expert, and we were talking, Zahar, when we're running campaigns. He's like, yes, you have the data. Yes, you can track things, whatever. But he's like, there's so much intangible, uncontrollable things that could happen that would cause something, to work or to not work, that you can't understand or can't touch. But we always want answers. And it's very hard for us as people to accept that, hey, I have these answers, I have no explanation, for that, which is also something very normal. So I wanted to come back just because this is going to come into this part of the conversation. Intention, okay? Now, manifestation, all these kind of things, coming with the right intention, all sounds great. My question is, because people listening to the podcast and I'll be like, okay, I have to be intentional. So I'm going to ask you, how? Because the what is great, but I want to give people, this is how you can start to become intentional, because I think the intention comes before the emotion, and the intention might even set the emotion.
Of course, yeah. It's a super point. And you might be surprised by my answer. The first thing that I would say to anyone who wants to really become more intentional is to be nice with yourself, which is a bit counterintuitive. But there is this, as soon as we start talking about a trick or a hack or something that can make a significant difference, immediately we want to do it every day. Now, okay, I'm going to be intentional.
It's a shortcut, yeah. 2 things done.
Voilà. The problem is that life is not like that. Life is going to throw you away from your path. Tomorrow, if one of my family member has a health problem, as we say in Arabic,
of course.
It will completely unbalance all my balance, all my life that I built and my routines and stuff. Of course, I'm not going to do my sport as I do, and I'm not going to eat the way I do, because if I'm in the hospital, I will be exhausted emotionally and stuff. And of course, my work is going to... So the point here is, first of all, whatever you try to implement as a new thing, and the intentions is something kind of very strong.
Yeah.
So start being nice with yourself. The second thing is, define what type of thing you want to see happen in your life. Okay? So for example, if you're talking about, let's be super basic, yeah? You're an entrepreneur or you're a company, you want to sell more. The first thing is not to say, what do I need to sell or how do I need to sell more? I mean, we all have this classic thing. We need to push the sales. We need to do more cross sales, upsells, link sales. What's your unit per transaction? What's your average value transaction, the average basket? No. The first thing is, what is going to touch the decision-making power of people is an emotional connection. We can talk about then the CBT triangle, because this is the important thing. So I just need to define how I want people to feel, okay? How I want people to feel. And we can take an example in daily life for something else as well. But now if we just talk about sales, performance, culture, whatever it is. As a company, I would like people to feel, in my case, I want people to feel stimulated. So, So for example, when you do something like, what? I'm happy. Because this is what I want.
Yeah.
Is there something true or not in what I want? No, this is just what I want. I'm happy when I achieve this because I want people to see me as someone who's a bit like, okay, wow, he knows a few things and he knows things that I don't know and I learned something with this. Oh, wow, I got this one with you. Yeah. The second thing, I want people to feel understood, not just professionally, but personally. And the third thing, I want people to feel that they made the right decision. So if at the end of a podcast like this, you think it was a good thing to have him for a second time, which happens very rarely. I understand. I think we're 3 or 4 to have been on your show 2 times.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. But then if I manage to get that feeling from you, to me, I accomplished what I want to transmit to people. So as a brand or as an entrepreneur, even choose one emotion. How would you like really your clients to feel? And then how it works is that you start to think of what you're going to say. For example, if you prepare a meeting, which we all rarely do, but if you do prepare a meeting and you articulate what you want to talk about, start to think of how you want the person to feel in order to prepare your meeting. Now, if you don't do it, so in the how, I would sit down and think, okay, I need to talk to this guy this afternoon about contracting, team coaching. This would be my case, for example. And I want this person to really feel understood. So the first thing I'm going to do is just list questions and just ask questions. And dig into this full on, you know. And if I have something to say, I will just say things that can stimulate the conversation. I will try. So I will list a few things that might be useful. With experience, I don't need to list them anymore. And then the last emotional intention is more of an outcome, okay? So this afternoon, I might apply this to people that I'm going to meet, and let's see. Now, if you don't do it, and it doesn't work, what is interesting is that once you have defined the intention of making people feel a certain way, well, then it's easier to look back and think, when I said this, would have I felt understood? No. Would I have felt stimulated? No. Would I have felt that it was the right thing to do? Certainly not. So when brands, luxury brands or brands that build pipes for oil and gas, you know, this is the type of clients, the width of clients that I work with. When people say, we want our clients to feel, you know, unique. Well, then they can look back and say, does this really make people feel unique? This, the way you wrote or the way you spoke or the way you sent this message or the way you extended the offer, do you do the same thing for everybody? Well, yes. Well, then maybe we can do something different. So that's how it works. Now, let's try to take an example in real life. You know, my intention is to be disciplined. It's super, super hard. Yeah. So the first thing that we said is be nice. So understand that discipline is not just like one day I don't do exactly what I said I would do, then I'm a loser. It's complicated. Huh?
Yeah, that one hits home for me.
I mean, welcome to the 8 point something billion people on earth. I think we all, you know.
Yeah.
So eat less, do sports and stuff like that. Yeah? So the intention works when, you know, the book Little Habits. You probably heard Little Habits. I forgot the author, but one of his habits was, and this is clearly intentional, do 1 push-up or 2 push-ups every time he was going to pee. So he's going to the toilets, toilets, before entering 1 push-up, when he exits 1 push-up, or 2, I don't remember, 1 or 2. And the guy developed a physique, because if you do 1, maybe you'll do 2. And if you do 2, maybe you'll do 2, but maybe you'll do 5. And sometimes you'll do 10. But you'll do this multiple times a day. And now, if you do this only once, and you don't do this the other times, it's always an interesting moment to reassess the intention. And no, you're not going to spend hours sitting down and reassessing all your intentions all the time. This is why few intentions, and use them as an anchor. Don't be an extremist like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this all the time. In the life of a company or in the life of a human being, sometimes it just doesn't happen. But instead of having a conversation with yourself or with your team, which is, why did you do this and why we didn't do things like this? Let's sit down and say, okay, what was our intention? But well, we didn't have any intention, okay?
yeah, most likely, yeah.
So the idea of an intention and the idea of emotions is interesting, not just because you need to apply this everywhere, but because it's a good point to land on. It's a good point to land back on when you want to reassess what happened. Why did that work so well? Well, I really wanted this person to feel like this. Yeah, and it felt, oh, wow, okay, great. Yeah, I was in the meeting, I saw the face of the, okay. And if it didn't work, instead of why and the blame, and it's, okay, what was our intention? Okay, we wanted this person to feel unique. Okay, we tried this, didn't work. Why? Could we have done something different? Maybe you have done everything you could and it just didn't land, but maybe not. And believe me, it's so interesting to manage these conversations with things that are not linked to, Khaled, why did you do this? Well, why did you write something like this? And just obviously, just read yourself again. You know, these things don't help. But having a clear, it's a question of anchor. And defining these emotions and being intentional about things as an anchor allows you to lose yourself and to be able to come back. You know? Or to get away from what you said you would do, and that's okay. This is life. Because sometimes there is richness here. There is a treasure here. That is not exactly what you said you would do. But sometimes here it's a trap, and you know where you want to come back. So that I would say that thinking process and decision of a founder or of a leader to be intentional about what we want people to feel and only have 3 emotions is super interesting. And even in your life, if you have, you know, the 1st of January.
Oh yeah, New Year's resolution shit I'm gonna do. Yeah.
It's just like, what did we do? What have we done to do this, to invent this thing? But if you have 3 things, and 3, don't ask me why, it's a good number. 4 usually is too much, and 2 is not enough. But if you have 3 things, and I'm not talking about even emotions, about intentions, it's so much easier to start seeing things happen. And what we need more and more is to have less blaming dialogue, inner dialogue. You know, this thing that says you need to change, you need to be different, you need to stop doing this. This is super damaging.
Yeah, and first of all, it's so interesting that like the timing of our conversation is fantastic for me as Khaled, very selfishly, because it's adding another layer to this new approach that I'm taking. So what I took from you is, so the intention is number 1, my anchor. So this is the point that I, you know, no matter how far I veer off, this is where I want to come back to. Number 2, I've never, like, when people tell you like, oh, hey, you know, you need to understand your audience, connect with your audience. No one talks, yeah, okay, what does connect mean? It's this. What do I want them to feel? And when you bring that not only in the personal context, but now into the business context, it's even more important or more valuable, because I have a great example of this just recently. In the last 2 months, I had 2 separate meetings. One meeting went one way and another meeting went a different way. Now, I wouldn't say I went into the second meeting with a new intention, but I did go in with a new approach. And like you said, make things simple. Like, I'm working with a communication coach now, as I mentioned. Shout out Nima, I love you. And she's just been instrumental in just changing the way I think in such a short amount of time. And you can, when you start to implement things that are simple, that speak to the right audience, that it allows you to really make things happen. You know, kind of like touching on what you said, people buy from people they like. Business is all done when it comes, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to, you can drill costs, whatever. People want to work with people they like. It's going to come down to that personal, you know, relationship you have. So the emotional aspect and what people want to feel is just now not, so in Khalid's brain it's like, okay, keep things simple, ask the right questions, but now I have a deeper layer of how do I want you to feel? And then, sorry, please
think
go.
about it as an emotional fingerprint.
Yeah.
Your fingerprint is unique as physically. Emotionally, what you will want people to feel as Khalid, hope it helps, whatever venture you have, is going to be your unique emotional fingerprint. And that's the thing that sometimes keeps people away from trying, is that, like anything, you just need to try. And there is no blueprint that is going to guarantee that whatever you do to make people feel this way is going to happen. Sometimes it's the exact opposite to make people
100%.
Well, I mean, mature founders have understood this, and they understand that life, generally speaking, is this. It's an adventure where there is a new level every time, or a new landscape every time, and okay, let's try. With what I know, I don't know how to approach that island or that mountain or that desert or that swamp. From what I gather, let's try it this way. Fails. Okay, so it's not the right way. Let's try another way. Thinking that you're going to find, in that book, the hack for whatever, is exactly as if you thought that if you don't convert 100% of your sales tentative is failure. Everything in the world is telling us that there is nothing called you found the right solution to something. In sports, how many interviews of super high-level sports people, of course we don't win every time, and we can stop at that. We cannot stop working and thinking, oh, I'm horrible. The quicker we get back to trying again, the better we're going to be. And the difference between the really good and the extraordinary is often just that.
Yeah.
How quick are you to come back? How quick are you to understand that you tried with intention? You applied what Joe or what Khaled told you or what your communication coach told you. It failed. It failed. Not only people didn't feel understood, but they felt bored, and they felt that, what am I doing with this bald guy with a beard? What's that? And this happened to me. I mean, it will continue to happen to me. But of course, the more you practice and the more you try, the more you start to understand and connect with something that is not, okay, he said this, so he's a blue, or he's a letter B, or he's a number. In the conversation, there is a flow. Yeah? And the more you practice this emotional connection with people, the more you start to understand things that are not written.
Yeah. And this and the emotional aspect, so the intention now is quite clear, but I think where I think a lot of people are going to struggle with this specific part is, how do I be nice to myself? Now, on our call a few weeks ago, you said something that was very interesting to me, because it's always, I think I'm just a black and white thinker. I know the world is gray, so it just makes my life a lot more hectic. But you talked about disalignment, and that was something very interesting. And I think in the conversation so far, whether it's a business meeting, a personal meeting, even a meeting with even a conversation with yourself, that's where that anchor comes into play that you were talking about when it comes to alignment. And I think a lot of people are misaligned between not only internally, which also then reflects externally. And the question I start to think about, or what you proposed was very interesting, is to take a step back and look at things as levers that you can turn up and you can turn down as and when needed. So I think this would be really helpful for people to understand, because until you gave me that context, I was never able to look at being, for example, nice to Khalid in an objective manner, and the things I don't like about myself have actually made good things, and the good things maybe have added to some of the bad. So, is that balance? So could you please walk us through, how do I be nicer to myself? Because every audience member is thinking about that question for sure.
Well, I mean, this is the core of so many things in my life, and I will be working on this for the rest of my life. I mean, even on myself. A few things are interesting to explore here in this question. The first one is that when you don't have an anchor, whatever anchor it is, you're not free. You're lost. And an anchor essentially is a fixed point somewhere. So it limits you somehow. I mean, if this is a stick that I planted in the ground, if I travel to New Zealand, this stays here. And if this is my point of reference, it's somehow a constraint, if I may say, or a limitation somewhere, because it's there. But if you don't have anchors in your life, either as a business or as a person, you're not free to explore. You cannot really play. You're just lost. Ask some tennis players to play tennis without the lines, just the net. They can't play. So a frame or psychologically fixed space where you can come back to is super important. For a company, it can be the emotional intention. So the emotions you want people to feel, it's there. You can come back to it. For you as a person, we have 4 deep psychological needs. We have a need for well-being. We have a need for relationships. We have a need for accomplishment / fulfillment, the way you want to say. And we have a need for celebration. Understanding these two for a company in terms of emotions, for a human being in terms of primary needs, is something super important, because you understand suddenly what really matters to you, and it helps you go and explore. That's one part of the question. So creating an anchor, either as a business or as a person. The second part is the dysfunctional part in us. And I think this is where your question lies primarily. We all have dysfunctions. All of us. I mean, there is not a single
fact. Yeah.
A dysfunction for me, for example, is being angry, getting angry fast. Some people eat too much. Some people stop talking to people and get into some people say yes to everything. Some people say no to everything. Some people avoid conflict. These are dysfunctions, and we have a list that is infinite. We have many of them, all of us. A dysfunction appears in your life, and this is important to say it in the context of that mixing table that you talked about, right? This DJ table that we're going to talk about. So when you're a kid, and it doesn't matter, we're not here to come back to moments that happened, but it happened. If, for example, I was talking to a good friend who's a people pleaser, a conflict avoider, there is a moment in his life where a person of importance, of authority to him, someone from whom he wanted love. Yeah? And it can be dad, mom, brother, sister, grandparents, family. It can be teacher, can be best friend, whatever it is. When you find yourself in a position, when you're in a dangerous position to lose the love of someone of authority, you develop a mechanism of protection. So this friend, conflict avoider, I'm sure that at a point in time in his life, someone told him, why did you scream at this poor guy like this? You know, you created why do you argue with your brother? It's stupid, it leads to nowhere. Whatever it is, whatever the person said in a nice way or not, the feeling of that little kid, my friend, was, shit, I'm going to lose the love of this person. So in order to secure this love, I need to protect myself and to avoid conflicts. That's it. This is how it works. And it's super useful, because suddenly, instead of provoking arguments, this little kid is going to conflict. No, I can lose the love of someone, and it's not conscious. It's here. You remember H3O2, the vibrations, the cell. This is the feeling that we have is vibrations in our body. So it's going to develop a capacity to avoid conflict, to be a buffer, to arrange complicated situations, to be always the calm person in the room. And this friend is super successful as an entrepreneur, like super successful. But sometimes it creates problems. So the first element is, imagine you are a mixing table of a DJ, yeah? And all of the buttons, 15, 20, 25, 100, whatever it is, are traits of character that you have. You might love them, you might not love them, they might be pleasant, they might be unpleasant, but they have their role. Each of them has a role. So for example, if you avoid conflict, yeah, on the other end, you develop fabulous things of, being this guy who tempers situations and stuff. Oh, we have a conflict, Joe, can you help us solve it? Yeah. It's not me in this case because I love conflict. But let's see. I mean, for a second, I was this guy. So I'm happy. Okay? So this protective behavior that becomes a dysfunction, helps you to build extraordinary qualities. All the kids do this. You've done this. Everyone who's listening to us has done this in his life. But now, sometimes this thing overpowers the rest. Okay? So let's imagine that the conflict avoider button is at the right level. It takes you to what we say, the balcony of your life. This is a good friend of mine also who gave me this image, and he will recognize himself if he listens to this podcast. So the balcony of your life is a place where you are visible, you see people, you have a view in the future, you have an impact, there is light, there is something pleasant, right? This is at the right level. When this conflict avoidance goes up and overpowers all the volume buttons of all the rest of the traits of character that you have, then it creates damage. So now you're starting to not have this conversation with your business partner that you should have. And your partner in life is saying, you should, say this. And it starts to trickle down to the couple life. And then yourself, you're thinking, shit, I'm not having this conversation. I need to have this conversation. I'm a loser. I should be different. I need to be more assertive. I need to be more like this. And I've met so many clients in my life, in my career, who come to me and say, I have to be more assertive. I have to be more assertive. No. Because if you try to remove buttons and shut down some traits of character that you have, you remember that this makes you develop qualities, pleasant stuff, and things that really take you to the basement of your life. When they are up, they take you to this cave where you're isolated, you do harm to yourself and to the rest of the people. This is when it's on an extreme. You remove this, you remove a component of yourself. So you would say, okay, so what's the thing? Does every button need to be leveled with each other? So for example, I'm fast myself, okay? I'm a quick guy intellectually. I'm a very curious person. I'm very generous. I have these things. I can be very angry. This is another thing. So all of these are buttons, right? So what is it? Do we have always to keep things in balance? No. Balance is a moment in life, a moment in a day. Sometimes it doesn't happen for a long time. And balance is not a static place that happens and you found it. There is no balance.
It doesn't exist in my book.
No. There is dance. So it's like when you walk, you always...
I like that. Yeah, I like you put
when
that.
you dance, you're always in balance, but you navigate. You can also take the idea of a navigation. And there is never something that happens, okay, we're going there. You press a button, you sit down, you sip your caipirinha, and the boat is going there.
Good choice.
And there is no day, no night, no rain, everything is... and you go there because you decided. Of course, it doesn't happen this way. So no, it's not a matter of saying, I'm a conflict avoider. I need to be, more assertive now, or I can become angry. I need to be super calm. I wanted to be this guy on the edge of a lake, meditating, serene. I was dreaming, I will be that guy. I will never be that guy. Never. It will never happen to me. That's okay. Okay. So don't remove a button because then you alter the sound of you. The composition of the sound of you is going to be changed. Now, so how do you do to put it in the level that works for you? Because sometimes it's good also to be on the top. It can protect you and save you. Essentially, when these behaviors, even the pleasant ones that you have, when they go to an extreme, they create damage. I'm a helper. I help people. And then you help everyone and you forget yourself, your wife, your kids, your whatever, and everyone is unhappy, including yourself. So if a button goes up, it's essentially because, I don't know if you remember the 4 needs that we talked about. You ignored 1, 2, or 3 or whatever of these needs. You forgot yourself in something that is really important to you. And remember, these behaviors are here to protect us. As unpleasant as we think about them, as desirous to eradicate them we can be, they are here to protect us. And the mode of protection will very unlikely change. It's very unlikely that it will change. So if anger is my fuel and it helps me to be super fast, super present, angry people are always very, very here. They feel everything, you know. So this is great, but sometimes this is not great. Ask my kids, no, it's not. Ask my wife, no, this is not great. Yeah. So these things don't change. The mode of protection is your mode of protection, and sometimes, yes, you might eat too much. So you have 2 choices now. Either you think, I'm a loser, I ate too much, I'm fat, I hate myself, I disgust myself, you know, I did this consciously and I feel ashamed. Even if you say this already, it's a miracle. But thinking this, you know, marinating into this is one choice. There is another choice, which is, okay, I ate so much that I feel so bad right now, or I became so angry that I made everybody cry in the room. Yeah. There is a message that this behavior is giving to me as a protective message. Say, hey, I have to step in because you're obviously not taking care of yourself. You see my point. Translated to business, it's we're doing whatever, promotion, we're trying to increase the margins. We're pushing on people and putting a lot of pressure. People are resigning and the promotion didn't work, so we have stock that we need to sell at a ridiculous price now because there is no anchor. These are protection mechanisms, business-wise, that are telling you, hey, what's really important to you? Come back to your anchor and rebuild or redo the way back. And there is a way. It's not like, okay, we're back there. To repair, apologize in your personal life, maybe in your professional life as well. You need to then sell this stock and then hire people at a different price and not the right people and stuff. You need to go back somehow and recenter yourself on what really is core. What is core for a business is to sell. But sales is a consequence. It cannot be a focus. In order to sell, the focus is what makes you sell. And what makes you sell is the decision-making power in people, which is subconscious, unconscious, and which is emotions. So you go back to this. As a human, you would go back to your needs, meaning that you need to work on your needs. At a point in time, it's not a disservice to do to yourself to sit down and work on your 4 needs, take some time and think, what does it mean well-being for me? What is so important? What do I need? In my case, my phone is there. I have my list on my phone, on my iPad, in a book. I have it everywhere because as much as a coach as I might be, as much as whatever it is, sometimes it's been a long time that I haven't done this, or this is really missing in my life and I completely neglected this. And the magic thing is that this button that was so high, instead of forcing it down and saying, shut up, stop being angry, or stop being a conflict avoider, or stop helping people abusively, I just need to focus back on something important is missing in my life. It will go down to the right level automatically. So the idea of changing for me is completely excluded. Transformation is an outcome. It's looking back and saying, we transformed. But this is not something that you can aim at as a process. The process is more alignment. And the alignment will give you transformation. Now you understand that we talked about it. If you don't have an anchor, you cannot align. To what are you going to align? So if the only thing that you say to your people is to sell products, and where is the alignment to what? What's underneath that sales? What feeling do you want people to have? Oh yeah, there is the features and the benefits. It's only about the product. It's not about the connection with people. It's not about the guy who's doing the tender. A request for proposal, a request for quotation, a tender, a bid is already won before it happens, because you know the people. And usually they create the bid for you, or they modify the bid for you. So if you don't have that type of connection with people, it's not going to happen. The idea is align. Once you know what to align with, you can get this misaligned. It's okay. Thank God. You're not going to spend your life on your needs. My little needs, I have 4 needs. I need to pay attention. I need, for my well-being, I need to eat well. Oh, no, I cannot eat a bird. No. Okay. Life is not like that. But once you know what's important to you, explore. Even as a business, people are complaining about lack of innovation, lack of risk that people are taking. They can't take their sales to a different level. Why? Because people are not trying anything other than, okay, we need to call this client and sell him a product. It takes you somewhere. It doesn't make you grow. You want 30% growth? This is what you need to do. You need to feel more connected to yourself as a person. This is what you need to do. Define an anchor and just align when you feel that the misalignment is too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But being out of alignment is the essence of an adventure. This is the essence of an adventure. And sometimes, look, everything is fine. The image is like you're on this boat and you're going towards this direction and it's going 10 times faster than you think. And you have your sunglasses and your caipirinha and the person you love next to you, and this is perfect. But storm is coming necessarily. An island in between you and your destination is coming. The engine is going to break down and it is not planned. It's coming. Someone is going to collide with you. Life, misalignment, that's okay. You know where to come back.
Yeah.
So the message here for me is stop trying to change. Stop dreaming of a transformation of yourself. Start to understand and to love the mixing table. Your sound is built with anger, generosity, availability, selfishness, cowardice, courage. This is built of all of these elements. And they mean something. There is nothing to throw. Take your mixing table and just listen to the buttons. And when the buttons are too high, think, I've been neglected. This is protecting me. Thank you. Thank you, anger. You created damage. I'm sorry. I'm going to repair that. But I listened to that message. And in business, it's exactly the same. If people could look at their KPIs and rather than blaming Khaled, you're minus 37%. What's your strategy to push the sales? Okay, great conversation. That leads nowhere. It's been decades that people speak like this in companies and it doesn't go anywhere. But if I look at the KPIs and say, what were you trying to do? What to sell? Okay, did you have an intention behind it? And what was the relationship that you had with the client? Okay, that's another question. Okay, did you have an intention for this client? How did you want to make this client feel? You know that the emotional intentions of the company are this and this. Was that present? Well, yes. Okay, let's look at the emails. And then you have another conversation. And you make the link of the KPI, the key performance indicator, is not a key performance objective in life. This is not a focus. This is a consequence. KPI is a mirror. So you look at it and say, where is that coming from? Okay, but maybe the email was a bit like, Okay, so now, how can I support you to correct this thing and to focus really on the relationship with the client? Okay, then let's do another email together. You want me to call the client? Yeah, I think it could be. Okay, I'll call the client. You want me to? Okay, be here. I'll call the client with you. No, I prefer not to be here. Okay, no problem. Let's make the... And you choose what you want to do, but you have something to align with. It's not like, let's try this, and let's try that, and let's do this, and who has an idea? Yes, have ideas, but align these ideas.
The alignment, first of all, thank you for that incredible explanation, because it hit so many different parts of like how I think, not only for Khaled, but for my business, for like everything, so it was like, I'm just sitting like, wow, this is a great show. It's fantastic. So first of all, the dysfunction within us, like you said, we all have dysfunctions, and that starts happens from your experiences in life, and usually when you're young, usually starts at a young age when these kind of things are formed. So to build on yours, like your thing was anger, my thing was the belief that I'm not enough, carried with me my entire life, very, very common one that I'm sure a lot of people feel too. But like you said, I've looked at that historically as very negative. I'm not enough. Already it sounds negative. It's already negative.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
What did it help you build? This belief, the belief in yourself that I'm not enough. What did it help you build in terms of pleasant stuff and things that help you move forward in life?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of this?
100%. So because I've thought about this a lot and reflected, and our conversation very recently was actually, it added another layer to it. It was very painful. So there's a lot of pain. I had a chip on my shoulder, and I was like, one day you're all gonna fucking eat it. You watch, just watch. And I'm gonna work like a dog to get to that stage so that I can feel like, and it wasn't for me, I realized also it wasn't enough, it wasn't just to get on your level. It wouldn't have been enough for me. I needed to go over and feel superior to make up for that difference of me not, feeling enough. So when you said, when you look at it though from the perspective of that mixing table, it's a completely different way to look at it. First of all, I love how you describe the anchor and the importance of that anchor and how that brings you back into alignment and takes you off. When you look at it with the context that you described, I don't feel bad anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? It takes the emotion, that sting out of it, which when some levers are too high, you're hitting that emotion, and then like it just you spiral out, which is very normal. It happens. But when you can look at it as a mixing table, and all of these qualities are part of you, and this is a big part. This is, I think, the biggest takeaway, because I literally was having a conversation with my cousin about this yesterday. We were talking about the ego, and I was like, it's funny. When I look at my ego historically has looked at something very negative, but
which I disagree with.
But what I realized is, in some situations, my ego puts me up, but in others, it puts me down. It stops me from enjoying, from being happy, from appreciating, from giving credibility to what I've done and what I've built. So that's why when you look at it as a lever, though, it's like, easy. This is high. Let me bring it back. And most importantly, people don't realize it's a protection thing.
Exactly. That's the key. Thank you for mentioning this.
That's the key thing.
If your ego comes and takes a dominant place and hurts people, it comes usually with aggressiveness or over-assertiveness or what people call arrogance. Arrogance is directly correlated to, I need to protect myself. So I'm fragile. There is something in me that I've been neglecting that is important to me, and I don't maybe even know about it.
Exactly.
So when my ego really takes that super unpleasant, and I like the words pleasant and unpleasant because nothing is really positive or negative. I start to really understand this now, or it's a choice. Let's say.
Sure.
It's a way of seeing the world that makes me more powerful, I think, thinking this way. But when ego starts to take this really unpleasant and bothering space, yes, I will feel bad. So the bad feeling of, what an idiot. I did this again. I hurt people again. My son is crying. He's going to feel that I'm the worst dad. That starts like this. But now quicker and quicker I realize, okay, either you stay there or you go to another route. There is another open road, which is remember what is important to you. What's the anchor? What are your needs? And where this button is. This is protecting you. First, thank you. Thank you.
And that small shift, Joe, is everything.
Yeah.
That just sorry to interrupt you,
by the way.
Go. Just when you say it's protecting me, when you think of the concept of protection is love, safety, danger. I don't want you to experience this, but like you said, it can lead into other things. And I love how you brought it in to the business context, because I think that's so important. How even in this journey as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you can relate. I feel like it's taken me a while to get alignment. It took a while to get my, like, for things to just like, like set in my head. I'm like, okay, now it's clear. Historically it's just been like, let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that didn't work. Whatever. And you have, like you said, I had nowhere to come back to. So I'm just like a lost chicken, just walking around trying shit.
Exactly.
And when you bring it into the business context now, and I love that you said, you want people to change, and the transformation is
it's an outcome.
It's an outcome, not the.
It cannot be the intention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I thought that is such a different way of looking at it, because a lot of people these days talk about digital transformation and transforming a company, which
it's great, but thinking that I'm going to become something else, someone else. We're going to go from something to something completely different. No. And some founders have this problematic as well. We've been growing, we've been innovating, but we're losing our soul, we're losing our traditions. And if you don't have this type of anchor, you can get lost,
Especially now when you go, to bring this into the conversation, when you're talking about scale, something very common is you hear that as companies grow, you see the culture disappears. It was all the startup was the place I love to work, and now we're 100 people, not so nice anymore.
What?
Not a very different place. So how can you, I guess, taking everything we've brought into the conversation, so the intention and the emotion and that combination, because I think what you do very well is how you translate it into the business aspect, because we can talk a lot about personal things here, but you're the expert in applying these into businesses. So as you scale, I'm guessing, yes, you'd have an anchor, but I think there's maybe other things you need to implement to maintain that anchor, as you said, because that anchor might not be the same anchor in 2 years.
I agree with you. Yeah. So it could be different, could be the same. I'm going to say something that that might surprise you, and that some people really understand, and when they do, it changes everything. In the scale process, there are changes that are of the operation, the way the business works, and this is indispensable. You need to have a new ERP, you need to have new processes for expenses reimbursement, automation in whatever it is, discipline in the way people input the data. You need to put new layers. So Khaled, sorry, we're putting someone on top of you who's going to take care of this department. So there are multiple things that are necessary. And I would say it's pretty clear now from different operating models. It's pretty clear what to do. Consultants who are specialized in this, no. And honestly, if they're good, reasonably good, they know well, and they can advise you well. Now, once this is done, once this is there, it needs to work. How does it work? Through people. So we take just this example. If people understand intellectually that they need to put clean data into the system, so a CRM system, I call this guy, you need to qualify the lead. Is it hot, depending on a percentage? What's the next step? If you don't input this type of stuff or reread what the AI has put for you in this stuff, it's not going to work. So people need to now make it work. And this is where, usually, you need to listen to signals. Culture, you talked about it. What is culture? And this is a definition that I choose. People can define it in multiple ways. A simple way to define culture is to say culture is what people do when nothing is written. So super simple way to think of culture.
I like that.
Yeah. So what are we talking about? The cup of coffee that people leave in the pantry with a trace of coffee. The meeting room that is not put back and left with the papers, and I'm coming with a client and I have to put things together. People come into the office, nobody raises their head and say hi. Someone is coming for his new or her new contract. The manager is not here, nobody cares, and the person is lost in an open space. All of these things are not processed and cannot be really processed. You can write on the toilets, keep it clean, people will do it or will not do it is not a matter of putting it on the wall. Yeah. So culture is a very tricky thing to manipulate, and people stay and leave because of culture.
And it's not tangible. You know, I can't put a metric to that. Like, we have good culture. Okay, how do you measure it? You know?
So this is how people feel, essentially. So now, maybe the emotional intentions that you had, and something that we did not explain is that you always start with the client. So how we want our clients to feel, always.
Okay.
In the process of transformation, if you say, you cannot start thinking of what is important to you if it can damage the people who are going to feed your company and make it, sustainable. And who makes that? It's your clients. You cannot consciously start anything in your company that is knowingly or maybe unknowingly completely going to damage your clients. So whatever you do, you need to start thinking, what's the impact for my client? And what's my intention for my client? In the coaching process, we stay 9 months with teams, and staying with them naturally it comes back to, if we want our clients to feel this and we manage it, then we need to feel it together. So it's them, then us. And naturally, without me doing anything, without any of us doing any, it comes back to, then I need to feel like this. So if I want my clients to feel understood, I need to understand myself.
You flip the script.
But it's automatic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so
yeah.
It happens this way. So for example, we talk about culture. And yes, it doesn't feel the same way. Before we were like this, now we're like that. And this is the essence of clients that we coach. Then what can you do? You can, if you had something that was at the root or as an anchor, values usually, but very rarely, or emotions that you had decided you wanted your clients to feel and that you decided that ended up being something internal, reassess, is it still what you want your clients to feel? And if it is, and usually it is, this is so, grassroots, that usually it is, then see with the new way of operating, what makes it complicated for people to feel like this. Involve your people and make them work on, okay, if this is how we're supposed to feel, is it how you feel right now? No. Okay, so why? And usually why is not a good question. It's more, what makes it difficult for you to feel this way? Well, then, this process of blah, 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 it makes me lose. Blah, blah. Okay, so what can we change, or what can we try to make differently? Or how can we think about this thing in a different way so that we put the button in the right level again? And that's only it. So what I wanted to tell you, and that I was telling you, some people understand it very well or not, these things, re-putting a company on the right track, increasing the sales, improving the experience of the clients and of the customers, of the clients and the employees, and changing the mindset, these things lie into conversation. It's just conversation. Once operations are functional, you have your system, you have it. Once it's there, you want things to go back on track, or your culture to come back to something that works. So it's culture, mindset, performance, experience. Not in the right order, whatever it is, but these 4 things. It's just a matter of conversation. And to have a purposeful conversation, it cannot be just about what you do and what did you sell and what's your performance. It needs to be about something that is more deeply rooted, that is more of something linked to a meaning, a real purpose. We are here to make people feel this way. And then you can have these conversations.
So it's interesting, I've never looked at it from that perspective, because I've always, from my perspective, understood culture as, let's say Khalid now, I'm in the process of, building the business and so on. I'm like, I would be thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, what culture do I want to have? How do I want people to act, to treat each other, to whatever, all that kind of stuff. I never thought of in my thinking, honestly, I've never even looked at the client or thought of the client, but it makes a lot of sense when I heard you explain it, because if I want him to feel that way, then my people need to feel this way. And that means I need to set the thing and feel that way. And this kind of brings me on to, because I know you've worked out with lots of executives and you worked with a lot of founders. So when you're a founder, I think this also depends on what stage of the business you're at. Because if you're a founder, like you're speaking to me now, I'm going to give you a certain answer. If I'm a founder and I'm like 4 or 5 years down the line and I have a company over like 100 people, I'm going to give you a completely different answer. So if it all, building on what you said, because I think there's something interesting there. If it all comes from what I want the client to feel, but then at the end of the day, as the founder or the CEO or whatever, it's my responsibility to implement that. I have to feel that first and do it for myself first before I can think about the client and move it back. Or, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not explaining myself correctly. And what if I don't want to? Then is it just,
The thing is that the process is a natural process. So when you start with a client, you don't need to think that we need to feel like this amongst each other. It's going to happen.
Okay.
Because you cannot sustain a system where your clients feel a certain way and the rest of the crowd is feeling like horrible. It doesn't work. And naturally, it's going to mirror as well how you speak to yourself. So these have never been topics of concern. As long as we start with a very clear intention for the clients, the rest works out naturally if you're supported by the right, coach and stuff. And what was the thing that you were asking? It's
like the difference, I guess, from your experience when you work with a founder and like a CEO and the different stages, I guess.
Yeah. It's such a good question. Literally, I was working a few days ago with a solopreneur who's been working for a few years by himself, never had this thing of emotional intentions, a game changer for him. And I've worked with brands, global brands. I've designed with them emotional intentions, 3 emotions that they implemented worldwide in retail, luxury retail. So brands who've done it in Los Angeles, in Hong Kong, everywhere in the world.
The big boys.
Yeah. I'm not sure there is a difference.
Okay.
I'm not sure because there is a bit of a mythology about it depends on what stage you are. Listen, I would say maybe you need to reassess this periodically. I don't know about that. I've been working actively on this for 10 years. And if they have to reassess it, I don't know about it. Maybe some of my clients went a different route. But I haven't felt there is a difference linked to, on that topic of emotions or intentions. No. What's different is the systems behind it.
That's interesting. Okay.
So, but the systems is not something that I treat.
Yeah.
Okay. I can understand and say, okay, maybe you have to revise this, and someone else is going to take care of that, either within the company or a consultant from the outside. I have a client in pharmaceutical. Obviously, after a few coaching sessions of the president of the group, it became apparent that, okay, there was a need for transformation. I called partners who do this extremely well. They discussed, and they've been working together for a couple of years. What did they do? Implemented a different organization. There was a need for this. If you have tomorrow 20 podcasts running at the same time, we're not here. Maybe we're here, but behind it, there is, a team of people working. You have several studios, you go from one to another, or this one changes and stuff. People are queuing outside because you need to have days of session. The system cannot be the same. An anchor is here somehow to stay. I'm not saying that it's going to stay forever, but an anchor is an anchor. You can change anchors, but it needs to be an anchor. If it's movable, if it's fragile and flippant, it's not going to work.
See, this is a very important point. Because that means, because that adds a lot of weight to what we were talking about, earlier when you were talking about like values, what I want people to feel? What will I, what are these, not just feelings, like non-negotiables in a way. And it's interesting. If I can move that, then how strong was it really? But that at the same time, that could also be a good thing, because you realize, oh, maybe, no, actually, these four weren't really the main ones. Now, like with more time and experience, it's actually 1, 2, and 3, and maybe a new fourth coming in,
But you see,
it's a very weird thing,
There is no blueprint.
Yeah,
we would
exactly.
love to say an anchor is an anchor, it doesn't move. No, sometimes it has to move. But an anchor is still an anchor.
Yeah.
You don't change your values and your mission every morning.
Yeah.
So somehow, if your system changes, good moment to reassess your anchor. But if your anchor is still valid, and in most cases might be still valid, then how do we operate the new system? By connecting again or aligning again to that anchor. And this is where transformation is not something for me that is a powerful word. It's just a description of something that happens. But there is this mythology that if I transform, I will be completely, entirely different. It will be a new Joe or a new company or a new... Yes, no. No. Align. You have roots, you have history, you have traditions that you might not even know about. And I don't even work on these things. What I really try to create is that power of knowing your reference point. This is my reference point, therefore, if I am here and the third point is here, they are aligned. If this point is here, this is what is powerful in a business and as a person.
Yeah.
And it doesn't remove unpleasant stuff. It doesn't remove mistakes. It doesn't remove damage. It doesn't remove uncertainty. It doesn't remove anything. But in uncertainty, when you know what to align with, it feels less uncertain. I'll give you an example. Turmoil. If one of your anchors is, I'm going to say something a bit cheesy, but family, well, when you lose everything, you know where to come back to. Now, if you neglected your anchor for so long, well, that anchor might not be that solid. So an anchor is somehow something a bit present. If you take your mixing table, and let's say this is somehow an anchor, well, then if you left it, and no, I need to, this button is not working anymore, or it broke. So I have no fixed answer, but to allow myself to live an adventure as a business, or to allow myself to live an adventure as a person, I need to have some port somewhere to refer to when I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. Man, that's such an interesting, this has been such an interesting conversation, because even in the anchor example, I was thinking, yeah, but the anchor can move, but like it has to be strong. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so it's just, it's just a very thought-provoking. And I wanted to round off our conversation today, Joe, with 2 questions that, as you know, we ask all our guests. So looking back, I want you to give this time, personally, professionally, when I ask you the question, what are you most proud of for yourself now? What would you say?
And I think at the time I gave you the answer of I'm still with the same wife. Well, I'm still married with the same wife. So it is still a point of super pride. I'm very proud of having managed to make my family live happily as an entrepreneur. I've been a solopreneur for a long time. Now I have partners and stuff. This is great. But to do this as a solopreneur, looking back at it and thinking, did I really do this? And I'm very proud of this. So, and things might change in my future. It doesn't matter. That is a point of pride, yeah. I can say another one. I think I've helped quite a few companies to put people back at the center, and quite a few individuals to be a bit more nice with themselves. And this is exactly what I was lacking in my life. Being horrible with myself was my daily life. And working with people and helping them on this has also helped me, improve things from mine. So I'm very proud of that as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You should be, man, to be a solopreneur for as long as you have, and to have worked with all these amazing companies. Like you have you want the cap is just filled with fucking feathers. You know what I'm saying? You got left and right, this, that, big companies, individuals, help here. So to do something like that, it's something that I'm also actively now trying to do. I don't have kids yet, so, but still, this is what I want to do. I want to support my family and give them the best life possible, just like you, by doing the thing that, I love the most. So I really resonate with that, man. And you should fucking be so proud of that. You really should. And for my last question, Joe, what is a message you'd like everyone to take home with them today?
Consider that your needs are the most important thing in the world. Whatever framework, the 4 needs that I mentioned earlier in the podcast, the conversation, or whatever it is, consider that your needs are important. I know that most of us, we take care of the needs of others. We take care of the needs of the bank. We pay our loans, or we pay our credit card, or we pay our electricity, or we take care of the needs of others in the family, or we help, whatever. We forget our needs. Our needs are not just there to do glitter on a picture. They are the core. And when we neglect them, our dysfunctions explode because they need to protect us. So our needs are important. Your needs are important. Look at your needs. And I don't know what your needs are. What do you need that is so important to you that it is essential to your life? Yeah. So this is what I would say. Yeah.
Man, I think that's such a great message, because I think, like you said, ourselves are the first person we neglect, and
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, what? But yes.
Yeah, it's true, and we do put other people's needs ahead of us sometimes, and people might listen to Khaled and Joe and be like, oh, they're just saying to be selfish. I'm like, no, and by the way, even if you are being selfish, yeah, it's okay. You need to be selfish sometimes. You need to I've put Khaled first so I can help you. If I don't help myself, how the fuck am I supposed to help you? At least effectively. You know what I'm saying? So
100%.
I really, really resonate with that message, man. And I just wanted to say thank you so much again for coming on the show, bro. This has been, on a personal level, this has been a mind-blowing conversation, just like it was the first time. I've really learned so much from you today about emotion and intentions and how to set them. And these are amazing lessons that I will carry not only into my personal life, but also into my, into my business. And I can't wait to see, what those results are. So thank you so much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. If people want to reach out with you, work with you, connect with you, where can we get in touch?
LinkedIn is the best.
Okay.
Because I see my messages every day. I answer personally to my messages. I post on very regular basis. So I'm quite present. Joe Sejean, and I'll always be happy to connect with you. Mention the show. Hope it helps, so that I can pay a bit more attention to your message than other messages. And if you mention Hope it helps, I will, like I do, but I will especially welcome you very, very well. If you're a fan of the show, then there is something that we need to pay attention to.
I think so. Well done. Very nice. Very nice. Well played. Joe, man, thank you so much, Habibi. This has been an absolute pleasure. Guys, to everyone listening, thank you so much. Please make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe to the podcast. I hope it helps. Pod on all channels. And as always, guys, hope it helps. Peace.
Man. Good one. You made progress.
And that's another episode in the bag, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. The goal of this podcast is to provide, as I like to call it, education on demand. We cover a wide range of topics, and the goal is to provide you with the knowledge, the tools, and the insights to improve your lives both personally and professionally. And if you're enjoying the show and you're enjoying the content, if you could please do me the small favor of hitting that subscribe button, would really help me build the show and build the channel, and that's all I ask. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations, bigger guests, and as always, guys, hope it helps. Peace.